What's up, YouTube? It's Eric here, your favorite Preservation Evoker, and I'm here today to give you my 10.2 Preservation Evoker forecast. So, as you may know, 10.2 is almost upon us. It's just around the corner, and this week we were met with a flurry of information regarding everything from our tier sets to the Mythic Plus dungeon pool. We got a lot of tuning information and a lot of stated intent goals from Blizzard themselves about where they would like to see healers falling. Before we get into the nitty gritty, though, I'd like to go ahead and invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like high Mythic Plus content. I do play Mythic. I do play Evoker at a high level. I am currently the #1 Preservation Evoker in North America, and I also play Holy Paladin at quite a high level as well. It is what is meta, and I'll always play Preservation and then whatever's meta. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube. Also, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/eyelashtv, where I'm probably streaming right now because I stream all the time because I have no life. Like seriously, I'm probably streaming right now. I literally, it's all I do. It's embarrassing. Okay, we're gonna move on. So here we are. So you might be wondering to yourself, should I still play Preservation Evoker in this upcoming patch? And the answer is absolutely. If you made it through the Holy Paladin Apocalypse and you're still loving the spec, we can only go up from here. I do see a lot of interesting things that are on the horizon, and we will be looking to address sort of the pros and cons of the spec moving forward. But if you do love the spec, I see no reason to just stop playing it. And if you're considering playing it for the first time, I think that this would be just as good a time as any to hop on board. We are the coolest, and we have a super cool community. So this was the big blue post that Kaivax posted stating Blizzard's general kind of intentions with healers moving into this patch. They do have three major ones. I'll go ahead and just kind of summarize what is said here rather than reading this entire post. But if you want to pause the video, be my guest and read through it. Effectively, what Blizzard is saying here is that healer's mana is a little bit too free at the moment. They would like to make it to be a bit of a challenge. And so healers are going to be finding their spells cost a little bit more mana. They're going to be finding that their choices actually matter somewhat more as in regards to their mana expenditure. The Blizzard's also looking to buff single target healing, and boy, is this absolutely overdue. One of the reasons why Holy Paladin was so powerful in this present patch is because it is just absolutely able to pump out tons and tons and tons of single target healing. Historically, we've seen classes that are able to just pump endless single target healing. Those tend to be very, very strong classes. So it is good that they are looking to bring others into the fold, so to speak. It also looks like we're going to be getting a substantial raid survivability nerf. I very much agree with this one. I think raid has been too easy to heal, and I feel as if it has been honestly just feels like you and three other healers are kind of fighting for like the few scraps of damage that are out there. Not a good way to play the game. These are the Preservation Evoker changes that are happening. We have some buffs here and some nerfs. These are all with the intent of fulfilling those previously stated goals. So we're going to see a 25% healing increase to Spirit Bloom, a 20% increase to Living Flame, and a 35% increase to Burden Embrace. These are the three buffs that we are receiving. Again, every healer is receiving buffs of some kind to their single target toolkit. I'm very disappointed to not see Golden Hour in this list. Golden Hour is, of course, our premier single target heal. When someone gets dropped very low, the very first thing that we are looking to do is click Echo on them and then click Reversion. It's a little weird that we're not seeing Golden Hour in this spot just because when we Echo Rev, of course, we get 2 Golden Hour procs off of that. This has been our bread and butter and our single target go-to heal for quite some time now. It's just a little strange. Living Flame being buffed by 20%. Also quite strange as we don't really cast Living Flame very much presently. That said, we will be casting Living Flame more with our upcoming tier set. So stay tuned for some information about that. It is a little weird still, but we'll see how it goes. Now let's look at the nerfs. So first let's start with the Cycle of Life nerf down at the bottom. Cycle of Life now accumulates 10%, down from 15% of your healing over 8 seconds, down from 10 seconds. So this is a pretty substantial nerf to Cycle of Life. I think this is totally fine. And it brings us more in line with some of the other healers who are receiving similar nerfs as well. This is just to fulfill that previously stated mission or goal of kind of bringing down the overall power level of healers in a raid setting. Cycle of Life is a raid talent, so it's not something that will impact Mythic Plus whatsoever. I think this was an elegant way to nerf the class. The second nerf is to Resonating Sphere. Now, this one I very, very strongly disagree with. The Cycle of Life nerf does target the Emerald Blossom build, which was doing absolutely gobs of healing and was honestly just the dominant spec. The Resonating Sphere spec, or the spec that revolved around Resonating Sphere, was less popular at this particular part in the patch, a lot because it does less healing. It's also harder to play. That said, we have had this exact same nerf before. So previously, the nerf said Resonating Sphere applies echo to the first 4 allies it hits down from 5. After we cried a lot and basically and said, hey, this is ridiculous, like you're gutting a playstyle that is very beloved by the community. Please don't do this. Please reconsider. Um, they did. They reconsidered and they gave us back our precious Resonating Sphere. Well, now they're doubling down on it and they're absolutely gutting the ability. So the playstyle itself is possibly not even viable whatsoever anymore. Resonating Sphere was a massively powerful tool in Mythic Plus. So that's a huge, huge blow. Definitely feels like a punch in the gut to read this, and it's something that I'm super, super upset about. If you love the spec, if you love that particular playstyle, definitely, definitely a bummer. So as we mentioned, there was no buff to Golden Hour, so our single target healing hasn't really been buffed that much, which means that we're falling a little bit further behind in regards to other healers in this regard. Living Flame is very clunky, so it's not necessarily going to be something that we reach for, possibly even after the nerfs. And also TA as a playstyle was completely gutted. As far as the benefits, the Spirit Bloom buffs actually do look pretty good. That's going to be a pretty big boon to AoE healing. And also single target healing. We do often press Spirit Bloom just to heal a single individual in some context. Living Flame is clunky, but it does marry quite well with our tier set, and it interfaces very well with both the 2 and 4 set. We'll get into that here shortly. While the TA playstyle has been gutted, we possibly will still take Temporal Anomaly. There is a world where that is just the best thing we can be doing, and even though it has been gutted, I think there will definitely be other builds that emerge that are just as good, if not better. That said, we'll just have to see how everything lines up. So let's talk very briefly about the DPS meta. So it is very early to say, but it is looking as if melee is going to be quite strong in this upcoming patch. Rogue is receiving a pseudo rework in which it is being quite buffed. There's a lot of people who are extremely excited about the Rogue buffs, myself included. We also are going to have a legendary axe. The legendary axe is going to be likely 2-handed strength and be used by Death Knights and Warriors and the let. I think that these things bode very well for a melee meta. So why do we care about a melee meta as evokers, as preservation evokers? Well, I'll tell you, preservation evokers are very, very good at stacked healing. There's a lot of spells that we simply cannot make use of in the current game because all of our DPS are ranged. So things like Emerald Blossom are just going to hit 1 to 2 players, and it's kind of rough to use that. If we have a lot of melee, however, it's a lot easier to hit 3 to 4 players with our Emerald Blossom, and it brings up the viability of that spell and the spec as a whole quite a lot. So whenever melee is good, Evoker is going to be also good. They just go hand in hand. This is definitely something to think about. So let's go ahead and talk about the 2 set and the 4 set. Our 2 set bonus says that Empower spells cast Living Flame at enemies or allies struck at 40% effectiveness. So this is a really cool tier set bonus. Very flashy, very fun. I've been testing it on the PTR and I'm about to show you what I've been doing with it. Super, super cool. I actually love this 2 set. Very awesome. This also applies to our Fire Breath. So we can use this both defensively when we cast a Dream Breath, or offensively when we cast a Fire Breath. It also works, of course, with Spirit Bloom. Our 4 set bonus, of course, says Living Flame has a chance to apply Echo at 100% effectiveness on allies healed or a nearby ally who doesn't already have Echo. So if we're casting Living Flames at a boss, we might just find that we are getting some free echoes on our party members. This is really, really nice. It'll just be free echoes. That said, the proc rate is about 20%, which is quite low. So I'm hoping that maybe they take a look at that. It is a cool quality of life thing. It's very interesting, to say the least. But its proc rate is so low that it is currently not necessarily very good. So let's go ahead over and take a look at the PTR, and let's just give you an idea of how this tier set works. So as you can see, I am of course wearing the tier set. I have the full 5-piece right now. And let's take a look at what this looks like. So we have some allies right here. That's strange. It actually just bugged there. I'm not quite sure what to say. Let's go in here and see if we can fix this. So here we have some allies. Let's go ahead and cast Dream Breath. And when we Dream Breath, we see that everyone who got hit by Dream Breath is also getting hit with a Living Flame. Very, very cool. Very, very flashy. Let's go ahead and do the same with Spirit Bloom again. So as you can see, everyone who was hit with the Spirit Bloom was also hit with a Living Flame. This is going to give us a lot of Essence Burst procs, as you can see, because each Living Flame that we cast also has a chance to give us an Essence Burst proc. Let's do that one more time. So those Essence Burst procs can, of course, be used to do things like cast an Emerald Blossom if we have a lot of melee in our party. Let's get out of that room. It was actually really loud in there. That was a little alarming. So we can actually be using those for Emerald Blossom if we have a lot of melee who are going to be healed by it. Or we can use it for additional echoes if that is what we so desire to do. Very, very cool. Very, very flashy, as I mentioned. Yeah, let's just try that again. It does look like it's bugged and... Oh, there, like, we didn't even get the Blossom off. Maybe these people have a PvP enabled. Oh, they're of the opposite faction. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of how the tier set works. So this is going to create like a kind of a new playstyle, which I will get into here shortly. Yeah, let's go ahead and hop back over to our slideshow. So these are the different appearances for our set. Here we have the LFR, Normal, Heroic, Mythic, Conquest, and Elite. I really like how the Heroic set has a boob window, if you will. That's what the official term, I think, is a keyhole. That's what you call this, like in fashion sense. I've always called it a boob window. I think it's really cool. I think it's really original. There's not a lot of garments that are quite like this. It's definitely something that I really enjoy. That said, there's like kind of a like bandage style bra over my character and all the other ones. Not a big fan of that. I wish that they all had the boob window. Maybe this is not intended. Maybe the Heroic set is just bugged. Maybe these ones are supposed to be a boob window. I'm really not even sure, to be honest. And it's also worth noting that the Mythic and Elite sets are both bugged. So there's this kind of like weird white graphic thingy that I'm not really sure what to make of. I'm imagining this is because the Mythic and Elite set are going to have some kind of additional sort of pattern or like an additional like little horn or like who knows what it'll be. I'm kind of anxious to see. But yeah, all in all, I don't hate the tier set. I don't really love it. I think it's, you know, it's just like a tier set. The shoulders are pretty cool. Definitely this blouse is really cool. So we'll see what they do with it. So as I mentioned, we are definitely going to have some playstyle adjustments as a result of this. The way that I can see things panning out is you might cast a Spirit Bloom. This procs a lot of Living Flames. You get a few echoes off those Living Flames. You immediately cash in on those echoes with something like a Reversion. You then can cash in on the Essence Burst that you might have gotten with an Emerald Blossom. With some of those free Essence Bursts. It's going to be a completely different and like more freeform, I think, style of play than like previously, where we were very kind of tied down. You would enter pack, you would Burn Embrace, Stasis, Stormflower, Anomaly, Dream Breath, just to make sure everyone had HOTS. Then when that fell off, you would like release the Stasis and then get double Dream Breath on everyone again. And you're just kind of filling in the gaps with like Echo Reversion. I could definitely see a world where things are like a lot more in the air. There's a lot more RNG associated with the current playstyle as it is slated on the PTR. Just because every time you cast an Empower spell, you are going to get a random number of Essence Bursts from 0 to 2 for free. And you're going to get a random number of of Echoes, most likely 0 or 1, each time that you cast an Empower, and then just off of the Living Flames. So there's a lot of RNG associated with this, and that RNG will often dictate the flow of the class and like kind of what you're doing. You'll cast an Empower. You might ask yourself, did I get a proc? Did I get any echoes? If I got some echoes, I better cash in on those echoes before I spend this proc on an Emerald Blossom. Maybe I'll keep that echo and I'll add some more echoes and then I'll Dream Breath. You know, you open up with a Spirit Bloom and it's like, okay, well, I got 2 echoes off the Spirit Bloom. That's kind of lucky. Well, now I'll use my actual essence to put 2 more echoes out, and now I'll Dream Breath, so everyone has double Dream Breath. And I've also got this, Essence Burst off the Dream Breath all of a sudden. I can use this for an Emerald Blossom. It would be a lot more, it would be a lot more of an interesting sort of decision tree, just based on the procs that you get, because the likelihood that we are getting procs is going to be generally a lot higher than it is now because of the changes. That said, I think that 20% chance for a free echo is like pretty low, and it's hard to rely on something like that. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but I guess we'll just kind of see how it pans out. I think that it should be pretty cool and definitely pretty interesting. Let's take a look at some talents. So there's one major change to our class tree that I wanted to talk about. Just Ancient Flame. I think it's quite noteworthy. This talent with the Rise in Living Flame as a viable spell is definitely something that we will be wanting to take. You could probably most likely get away with just dropping like your 1 flex talent and just making this your new baseline. And then of course the flex talent would be the Deep Breath Stun. So this could go into CDR for Renewing Blaze. It could go into a little bit more mobility. It could go into overall if it's a week that calls for that. If it's a Sanguine week, it could go into like the CDR on your knockback. You have a lot of choices here with like your flex talent, and I think that just moving one of our core talents into Ancient Flame is something that will make sense. So this is the current Mythic Plus healing focused build. We've kind of been revolving around this playstyle of keeping double Dream Breath on everyone by way of Stasis and Temporal Anomaly with Resonating Sphere. I don't think that Resonating Sphere and Temporal Anomaly will be the way to go moving forward, so there are a lot of considerations. This is the first potential no TA and plus build that I came up with. I think it looks pretty cool. You might notice that I picked up Life Force Mender. I think the Life Force Mender is going to be very important in Season 3. It's going to equate to a lot of damage, because every time that we Fire Breath, everything that gets hit by Fire Breath is also going to get hit by a Living Flame. In big AoE, this is going to be a lot of damage. An absolutely crazy amount of damage. So we will definitely want to try to pick up Life Force Mender. That said, even with the changes, Living Flame getting more healing is not necessarily going to be better than just having something like double Dream Breath. There's a lot of good throughput choices, and I think that we have a lot to consider. I think that I'll start playing the season with this build, and then as I feel it out, maybe it feels like, Living Flame is actually underperforming. Maybe I'm pressing Living Flame as a single target heal very, very rarely, because it's still just a 2-second cast spell, and like, who has 2 seconds to cast a spell? For crime's sakes, your team is dying, kind of thing. So there's a lot to consider. I do think the grace period is incredibly important, so it's not something that I would look to drop for Renewing Breath. Here's another potential option. Here I've simply dropped Spiritual Clarity in favor of 1 point in Renewing Breath. I think that Spiritual Clarity, Font, and Renewing Breath, I guess along with Grace Period, are kind of like the things that you really want to have all of them, but you just can't have all of them because of the way that our talent tree is. Gosh, our talent tree really, really, really needs a rework. Things need to be moved around. I'm sure that Blizzard is thinking about this as well, but they have a lot of stuff on their plates, and it'll be something that we just kind of get to have when we get it. That said, you are kind of juggling between all of these talents. You can try to mix and match. I would not drop Grace Period though, especially if you are good at playing around it. Being able to give someone plus 20% healing by giving them Echo Reversion is just way, way, way too powerful to pass up, and it's one of the best things we can possibly be doing. So it really just comes down to Spiritual Clarity, Font, and Renewing Breath, and of course Life Force Mender as being sort of the big question marks of like what we're going to take, what we're not going to take. It is quite a challenge. So as I mentioned, there are going to be some playstyle adjustments in terms of the actual gameplay. We will be better at burst healing every time that we press Spirit Bloom. Not only is Spirit Bloom going to do a lot more healing than it is presently, but it's also going to give another Living Flame on top of that. So it's going to be even closer to that AoE lay on hands sort of fantasy that we've kind of been given since the start of this expansion. I think it's a really cool spell. I think giving it a lot more juice is also really cool. A lot of our power is baked into that, and is baked into burst healing in general. We're able to Spirit Bloom or tip the scale Spirit Bloom in the face of really, really big damage. And if it's just one big clap of damage, it's often just good enough to just press a Spirit Bloom. That said, we're going to be a lot less capable of healing heavy, sustained rot damage. It's going to be a lot harder to double Dream Breath. Again, double Dream Breath has been a staple in the playstyle for the last season, so it's very, very sad to see that go. That said, we can double Dream Breath. It will just require manually ramping, which calls for a lot of extra essence. It calls for a lot of extra globals, more importantly. In the face of a fight like Kajen, also known as the third boss in Halls of Infusion, you might not necessarily have a lot of free time to just sit around casting a bunch of echoes before every Dream Breath. But it's possible if you don't double Dream Breath, you just don't have enough healing to heal the heavy sustained rot damage. So this is definitely something that is on my radar. It's something that should be on your radar as well. How are we going to heal rot damage? Like, what are we going to be looking to do? I think that we'll still be doing double Dream Breath, and I have a few ideas of how we can utilize Stasis to accomplish this goal. At the end of the day, it will be much more global intensive than it is now, but it's possible that that is just okay. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those potentially new Stasis combos. So if we are not taking Resonating Sphere, then we could be doing something like Bird Embrace Stasis, SP4, so a Spirit Bloom on 4, into an Echo. And we do this in the hopes that our Spirit Bloom is going to put out an Echo or two. And then that Echo that we manually put out will go alongside those. If we do that, and then we put a Dream Breath in, then we'll have at least a couple of party members who get the double Dream Breath. That said, this is going to be unreliable. You might not even get a single Echo off of your Spirit Bloom, and that's going to be a little bit of a bummer. It's also possible if you have a lot of time on your hands that you could Spirit Bloom 4, Echo, and then just spam the boss with Living Flames until you get more Echoes on your party, and then Dream Breath. This would give you double Dream Breath on your first, but when you re-release the Stasis, you will no longer have the full double Dream Breath on everyone. So this is a little bit of a finicky sort of rot damage and solution to no double Dream Breath, no easy double Dream Breath with a Resonating Sphere. The second is to simply do a double Dream Breath ramp, which I think we will be doing quite regularly, just maybe not with every single Dream Breath. And this is going to look something like Verdant Embrace, ramp with Echoes. So Echo, 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 Echo. Maybe you already have some Echoes sitting around from Living Flames on the boss or what have you. So you're just like Verdant Embrace, Echo, Echo to fill in the gaps. Stasis, Dream Breath 1, Spirit Bloom 4, and then an Emerald Blossom. All of these manual Echoes that we just cast are going to ensure that this Emerald Blossom is like really, really juiced as a result of Ouroboros, the talent that we take. And so a big Emerald Blossom inside of the Stasis is definitely going to be something that is quite a boon. I think I like this as an answer to the no double Dream Breath problem more than the first, but I will definitely play with both of these once PTR rolls around and kind of give you my extended thoughts. I do plan on doing a considerable amount of PTR testing once that is possible and available. So definitely stay tuned and take a look at my channel regularly for more updates as we get Mythic Plus testing enabled. As I mentioned, I'm going to be playing a lot of Mythic Plus on the PTR. I also want to go ahead and throw out there that I'm going to do a full dungeon analysis coming soon. I'm going to do an analysis of each of these as a Mythic Plus dungeon, how I think Preservation feels. I'm going to be trying all the healers, letting you know not only how does Preservation feel, but how do the other healers feel, and how does Preservation feel relative to those other healers. It looks like a super cool dungeon pool. There's a lot of very, very fun looking dungeons. Waycrest Manor is one that I remember. Taldazar is one that I remember. I know for a fact that there's going to be a lot of rot damage in a Taldazar, which is a little bit concerning. But that said, we'll just have to feel it out. There's still a lot of testing to do because this spec is changing perhaps more radically than any other spec in the game as a result of its tier piece or tier set. Let's head back over to our hanging out screen. So huge thank you to everyone for making it this far, for sticking around through the presentation. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Once again, make sure that you're following me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/eyelashtv. And let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. Do you like the new tier set? Do you like the new dungeons? And most importantly, how do you feel about the temporal anomaly nerf? Is it warranted? Was Resonating Sphere too strong? Or should it have found a different way to nerf this? I'm obviously in the latter camp. I wish they'd found a different way to nerf this. I love the way it feels. It has been my favorite go-to spell for so long. There's just something very satisfying about getting out that snappy, like, Herd Embrace Stasis, Temporal Anomaly Dream Breath, like, combo. It just feels so good. And now that's just not even a thing anymore. I think the class is gonna feel a lot more clunky. Um, it kind of just is what it is. Let me know what you think, though, down in the comments. And until next time, hasta la vista. Can I say something different? Can I get a do-over? I feel like I already watched it anyway. Here's Gengar. It's also saying goodbye or something. I don't. Why are so awkward? Bye.